Hey, and welcome back to Northern Chris. Just a quick video. The other day I was driving down the road and I saw this weed eater sitting on the side of the road. So I figured I'd pick it up and let's see if I can get it going. So the first step is removing 3 Allen key screws that hold this plastic cover over the muffler and the spark plug. And then remove the spark plug. You'll see from this plug that it's very, very lean. It's very full of carbon. So maybe they had a bad mixture. Next is the actual air filter where the carb is. So once you have that removed, remove the little sponge filter. Then there's 2 more bolts, both Allen keys. That's what actually holds the carburetor to the side of the motor. So once you remove these 2 long screws, the carb will actually be removed. The only thing holding it on are the fuel lines and the throttle cable. So once you have that removed, there's 4 screws that hold the side of the carburetor together. So all I'm trying to do right now is take the carb apart, spray with some brake clean or carb cleaner, and put it back together and see what happens. I tried compression testing it, but unfortunately my compression tester threads were too long and it would bottom out on the piston. But before that it was running around 60 psi, which is very light, but I couldn't screw the compression tester all the way in. So now that part of the carb is off, just taking a quick look. There is some debris in there, probably because it sat all winter long, not being used. And then there's a few more screws here to take off this side where the diaphragm is. So it should pop off, provided the gaskets aren't all dried out. And as you can see, I'm pressing it to see there's very good bounce, so it doesn't look like it's worn out, which is a good sign. So then there's one more screw that holds the little pivot in that holds the needle. So unscrew that. There's a little spring that comes out with it, as well as the needle. And then that's basically it. Then you take an air line or carb cleaner and just blast all the channels and all the holes in the carburetor, trying to clean out anything that may have got in there. Some dirt, some grass, debris, maybe some plastic of the gasket has worn out. So again, just peeling this other gasket apart, just to make sure I clean every spot. Don't want to leave something in there, that'll clog again. So as you can see, I'm just taking some carb cleaner, just spraying it down to clean it for 1, and for 2, just cleaning all the little passages. I recommend wearing gloves because my hands dried out pretty badly after this. But super simple process. So once you're done spraying everything, you can then put it back together. It's really that simple, so let's see if this is going to end up working. It's really finicky. Spray it down the little needle. That regulates how much fuel is going in. If you have big hands, it's quite difficult, but again, it's pretty simple. There's maybe 10 screws that have to be undone total. So as you can see, I'm putting the spring. That's what the diaphragm sits on and pivots up and down, which moves the needle. This little actuator fork. It's a very delicate process. As you can see, fighting with it for a little bit, but eventually I do get it back in. So once you have that fork in, put the little screw back in, tighten it down as soon as possible so the spring doesn't shoot out, and you have to do it all over again. It doesn't have to be super tight, just snug. You just don't want it to come loose while the motor's operating. Just making sure the needle is going up and down when I'm hitting the backside. Just a quick spray of the carb cleaner. Just figuring which way this goes. It only goes one way. There is a little tab on one side that fits in a certain hole. Otherwise, it won't go in properly. This diaphragm side only has 2 little Phillips screws. Tighten those back down. Then you can go to the other side. Tighten that down. So that side of the carb is done and tight. Now it's just a matter of cleaning up the other side of the carb. Making sure you get every little hole. You don't need anything because these are small little motors. Anything could come and clog that up pretty easily. Doesn't take much. And it is a 2-stroke. So they're very finicky. So again, this little gasket here, cleaning off both sides because it was just sitting on that rag that was pretty dirty. Don't need any fibers or any debris clogging anything up. Give it a good spray. Carb cleaner is pretty inexpensive, so use as much as you need. Again, that only goes in on one way, so it's not too confusing. Make sure you got it on the right side. Again, a little bit more spray. And as you can see, there's the throttle, a little screw for the idle. Now there's 4 screws that hold this one on, this side. So fire them all back in, tighten them all back down. Give the carb a little bit of a clean. I like to do opposite sides, that way it won't tighten one way or another and it'll leak. But pretty much that is it. So now I'm going to put it all back together, back on the motor, and we'll see if this thing runs. So put the fuel line back on the primer bulb. One more spray of carb cleaner on both sides. The gasket's on the motor, so now you just take the carb, put it on. Make sure you get the throttle cable. In this video, in this slide here, I actually have it on upside down. It's supposed to go from the top down, not from the bottom up, because it was binding. So again, fired the 2 long Allen key screws in, just hand tighten, put the little filter on, and we're going to test to see if this thing will work. And then put the cover on. This thing's fully assembled, ready to go. And once again, thanks so much for watching. This is Northern Chris here. New video uploaded every Friday. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. So here we go. Let's see if this garbage weed whacker will work, or if it's supposed to be in the garbage forever. And there you have it. The choke was on. It's an interesting model where if you push the primer, it pushes the choke on, so it revs really high. I did notice when I hit the throttle, the choke would pop off, and it would idle really low and then die, so I think the high and low needle jets need to be adjusted. But as you can see, it's working. I don't have to pull up the lawnmower right now. I can just trim some of the high spots around the fences. And here we go, try it again, see if it works. See, as soon as I hit the gas. So in the next video, I will adjust the high and low needle, get this thing running perfectly, but as it stands right now, I can use it as is, just revs really high. Thanks so much for watching.